Hello everyone, it's Dylan from Yu-Gi-Oh! Everything, and welcome back to another Yu-Gi-Oh! Video. This time we will be doing the 15 strongest anime-exclusive monsters that we saw throughout the Yugioh Zexal anime. Now, by the word strongest, I mean the highest base attack value for monsters that, again, were never printed in the TCG or in the OCG. Now, I did do this list for Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. I did make a few errors in that list, which I take full responsibility for. I missed about 4 or 5 monsters that should have been on that list. It's tough to comb through 150, 180 episodes to try and find every single monster that is anime exclusive that have high attack points that would be eligible for a list like this, but still, I do take responsibility for that. Got a little more research done for this video from outside sources and from myself, so hopefully there will be no mistakes, but if there are, let me know down below in the comment section. Also, the statue monsters that we saw Roku use, Blue Eyes White Dragon statue, Dark Magician statue, Red Eyes statue, those are all, I'm not including them in this list, so when those don't pop up, it's just, I chose not to include them. But, yeah, without further ado, let's begin. The 15 strongest, highest base attack value stats that we saw in Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal, anime exclusive. Thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the video.
Kicking off this list with 2,500 attack points is New Order 6 Etheric Apophis. The New Order archetype is used by Elephas, and the entire archetype is an anime-exclusive archetype, one of my favorite anime-exclusive archetypes in Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal. So, just a warning, there are a good amount of New Order cards that will be appearing on this list. Based on what rank the Xyz monster is, that's how the cards get their name. So, for example, Etheric Apophis is a rank 6 monster, so it's called New Order 6. The card needs to overlay 2 level 6 monsters to be summoned, and it has an effect that allows it to target an opponent's monster and have that monster lose 2,000 attack points. Since you can seemingly use this effect up to 2 times in the same turn, you most likely will always be able to lower your opponent's monster's attack to 2,500 or under, unless that monster has over 6,500 attack when Etheric Apophis hits the field. We are just getting started with this archetype. New Order 6 Etheric Apophis takes 15th on this list. 2 monsters tie for 13th with 2,600 attack, the first being Sumo King Dog. Sumo King Dog is used in episode 39 by Pip when she duels Kathy during the World Duel Carnival. The main ace of her dog deck is this monster, which can be Xyz summoned by overlaying 3 level 4 beast-type monsters. The monster actually has a pretty useful effect. During either player's turn, when a trap is activated, you can attach an overlay unit to negate that trap and then destroy it. This allows you to negate and destroy your opponent's traps up to 3 times, since this monster will have 3 overlay units, which can be extremely helpful. With 2,600 attack, it's not a bad monster in terms of strength either, a pretty good monster all around. The other monster that ties with Sumo King Dog for 13th is Playmaker. No, not that Playmaker. This monster is used by Striker when he duels Yuma during episode 26. The ace of this deck is Playmaker, a rank 5 Xyz monster whose summoning conditions are 3 level 5 monsters. When this card is special summoned, it flips all face-down defense monsters to attack position while negating any flip effects the monsters may have. If this card attacked a monster at the end of the damage step, you can remove an overlay unit to attack once again, but you have to attack the monster on your opponent's field that has the highest attack points. I can see this card being really useful if you were going up against a flip effect deck like Ghost Trick or Subterror, but most likely you won't be facing off against an opponent that uses flip effects. It can be a pretty difficult monster to get out since you need 3 level 5 monsters, which isn't a particularly easy field to make. Either way, Playmaker and Sumo King Dog tie for 13th on this list. Coming in 12th is Recycle Rhinobot, which holds 2,700 attack points. This monster is used by Lilybot when she duels Yuma in episode 21. Dueling against artificial intelligence. Damn, they were foreshadowing the plot of Reigns before we even knew what the plot of Zexal was. The summoning conditions for this rank 4 Xyz monster are 3 level 4 Earth Machine type monsters. Yes, a very specific summoning condition to get this onto the field. You can detach 1 overlay unit to add 500 attack to any other monster you control. If this monster has no overlay units during the end phase, you have to destroy the monster with the lowest attack on your field, and then deal damage equal to you and your opponent equal to that monster's attack. At most, this effect can destroy Rhinobot and deal 2,700 points of damage to you and your opponent. Unless your opponent has 2,700 life points or less, and you have enough to survive, this effect is pretty horrible, mainly because you are destroying your own field and taking damage at the same time. If this effect didn't target your own life points, it would be a little better, but destroying your own field is never ideal. Either way, the monster does have 2,700 attack, which makes it a pretty useful beater, putting it at 12th on this list. Coming in 11th is Unsinkable Titanica, a monster on this list that isn't an XYZ monster. Wow, I'm surprised. This monster holds 2800 attack and it is a level 10 effect monster. It also holds 3000 defense points, which makes it a pretty great wall if need be, which shouldn't really be shocking since this monster is literally a giant ship. This card is used by Brooke during the tag duel in episode 92. Once per turn, you can target one face-up monster with 0 defense on the field and destroy that target. If you do, inflict damage to your opponent equal to half the destroyed monster's attack on the field. So unfortunately, despite having a great base attack and defense stat, that's really where the usefulness for this monster ends. Most monsters don't have 0 defense points, which makes this effect very difficult to use. If you can use another effect or a spell or a trap to get your opponent's monster to lose all of its defense, like maybe a Curse of Anubis card, then that could be a pretty effective combo, but there aren't many cards that reduce the defense stat on a monster to 0, and it's just a rare situational effect for it to be useful. Unsinkable Titanica comes in 11th on this list. Kicking off the top 10 is another monster that was used in that tag duel, Indestructible Airship Hindenburg, which holds 2900 attack points. This level 10 effect monster is another strong monster that just has a my goodness effect. Anytime a level 5 or higher monster is normal summoned, this monster lets you switch any level 9 or lower monsters your opponent controls to defense position. Another high attack monster that has a less than mediocre effect, which is unfortunate. In the anime, this and the Titanica monster don't last long and are used for a level 10 XZ summon shortly after they are summoned. I personally don't believe either of these last two monsters would really make any sort of impact if they were printed, but hey, maybe I'm wrong on that. Either way, this monster comes in 10th on this list for holding 2900 attack points. We have two monsters tied for 8th with 3,000 attack points, the first being another New Order monster, New Order 8, Etheric Sebek. This monster is summoned by overlaying 2 level 8 monsters. Etheric Sebek allows you to add 1 spell or trap card from your deck to your hand when it's summoned. Then, during either player's turn, you can remove an overlay unit to activate a spell or trap card from your hand. This is actually a pretty great effect in my opinion. Not only can you search for whatever trap or spell card you may need from your entire deck, but then you can activate a trap from your hand without setting it by using an overlay unit. Seems like this can be a really useful effect, and with 3,000 attack points, it has a good amount of attack for battling and for going toe-to-toe with most monsters. Another card that is tied with Etheric Sebek is number 1 Infection Buzz King, which also has 3,000 attack points. This monster is used by Mr. Heartland. Infection Buzz King is summoned by overlaying 3 level 8 monsters. This monster has a lot of effects, so bear with me. When this card is XZ summoned, you can choose one monster in your opponent's extra deck and send it to the graveyard. It cannot be destroyed by battle, except with number monsters. This effect probably would not carry over to the real game if it was ever printed. Once per turn, you can attach one number monster from your opponent's grave to this card as an XZ's material. Once per turn, you can detach one XZ's material from this card, then target one card your opponent controls, destroy that target, and if you do, if that card was a monster, inflict damage to your opponent equal to the destroyed monster's attack on the field. I feel like this monster is actually pretty solid. Not only can you prevent your opponent from using one of their extra deck monsters, but you can also target any of your opponent's cards, monsters, spells, or traps, and destroy them. You can only use this effect once per turn, but since this monster has at least 3 overlay units, you can end up destroying 3 of your opponent's cards as long as this monster is kept alive for 3 turns. This monster ties Etheric Sebek with 3,000 attack points for 8th on this list. We have 3 monsters tied for 5th, all boasting a high 3,500 attack points. The first, also winning the award for the most edgy name on this list, and that is Chaos End Ruler, Ruler of the Beginning and the End. This card was shown to us in episode 11, but was actually never used in a duel. This is easily the most broken card on this list, and one that will most likely never see the light of day in the real world. This monster is summoned by banishing 1 Dark Fiend monster and 1 Light Warrior monster from your graveyard. When this monster is summoned, cards and effects cannot be activated. You can then pay 1,000 life points to banish all cards from your opponent's hand, field, and graveyard, then inflict 500 points of damage for every card that is banished. I don't think I even need to analyze how insane of a card this is. It was too overpowered to even show up in a duel in the Zexal anime, which should say all it needs to. A crazy card, and with its 3,500 attack point stat, is good for T5 on this list. Another monster that has 3,500 attack is Electromagnetic Magna Dragon. This is actually a level 8 fusion monster, a fusion in Zexal. They certainly didn't happen often, but when they happened, they were usually pretty memorable. It's summoned by Wolfsbane during episode 52. The monster has to be summoned using Magnet Fusion and cannot be summoned any other way. Magnet Fusion has you tribute 3 magnet monsters in order to summon this behemoth. Electromagnetic Magna Dragon also allows you to inflict damage to your opponent equal to the attack of any monster you destroy in battle with it. Meaning if your opponent has a monster in attack position, you can basically deal a direct attack of 3,500 points with this dragon. A really great beater, although the summoning conditions are pretty difficult since you need a specific fusion card that only allows you to summon this monster, which can clog your deck up pretty bad, especially if you don't have the 3 monster requirements in hand or on field to summon this dragon. Finally, New Order 10, Etheric Horos has 3,500 attack points as well. Etheric Horos has an effect that is somewhat similar to the meta Trap, evenly matched. If your opponent has more cards on their field than yours, you can detach an overlay unit, your opponent selects a number of cards they control equal to that difference, and then they get destroyed. So if your opponent has an amazing field with like 4 monsters, 2 or 3 traps and spells, and you summon Etheric Horos, and that's the only card on your field, your opponent's field gets completely destroyed. This seems like it would be a really great monster if it was ever printed, mainly because of that field destruction effect. In regards to this list, its 3,500 attack points are good for being tied for 5th. Now it's time for the really incredibly strong monsters. Only good for 4th on this list is New Order 12 Etheric Mahes, which boasts 4,000 attack points. This monster needs 2 level 12 monsters for its Xyz summoning. Getting level 12 monsters onto your field will probably be a little tough, but lucky for you, you won't miss their services for too long. Etheric Mahes allows you to special summon any overlay units back to the field after it is summoned. However, during the end phase, those special summoned monsters turn back into overlay units. During your turn, you could have this monster along with 2 probably very strong level 12s on your field to attack your opponent with. Crazy to think 4,000 attack points doesn't even qualify for the top 3, but let's tread on. Taking the bronze is the final new order on this list, and that is New Order 13 Etheric Ammon, which yields 5,000 attack points. This monster has a very long effect. It must be special summoned by the effect of a rank up magic spell card. The card cannot be destroyed in battle or by card effects. The card gains 100 attack for each Xyz material attached to it. When this card is special summoned, attach a number of cards from the top of your opponent's deck to this card as Xyz material, equal to the difference in ranks between this card and one face-up Xyz monster your opponent controls. When exactly one Xyz monster is special summoned to your opponent's side of the field, attach a number of cards from the top of your opponent's deck to this card as Xyz material, equal to the difference in ranks between this card and that monster. Using this effect in the anime, Etheric Ammon got up to 8,300 attack points since it had 33 cards attached to it. Not only can this card destroy your opponent's deck and just get to a crazy high attack value, but it cannot be destroyed by battle or by card effects. For a 5,000 attack point monster to have that kind of effect makes it an absolutely lethal monster, and it honestly should have a great effect because summoning it is no easy task, but if you can get it onto the field, it most likely will be game over for your opponent. Would love to see the new orders printed in the future. A really fun and interesting anime exclusive deck. Time to move on to Dawn Thousand's cards. Oh boy. Taking the runner-up with 10,000 attack points is Chaos number 1000 Numeronius. To summon this monster, you need to overlay 5 level 12 monsters. Any Chaos monsters your opponent controls cannot attack. At the end of the battle phase, you can destroy all monsters your opponent controls, then special summon from the grave as many monsters as possible that were sent from the field to the grave this turn to your side of the field in defense position. If this card would be destroyed, you can destroy one other monster you control instead. Once per turn, during either player's turn, you can detach one Xyz material from this card, then target one monster on the field to destroy that target. Then choose one Chaos monster in the extra deck of the destroyed monster's controller and special summon it to their side of the field, ignoring its summoning conditions. In layman's terms, this card effect should just say, your opponent loses, instead of saying all of that stuff. Not only can you completely wipe out your opponent's field at the end of the battle, but then you can summon those monsters to your side of the field. And then if Numeronius was to be destroyed, you can just destroy some other monster on your field to save save it. Don 1000 will always have the most overpowered deck in my opinion. I know some people think Zones is stronger or even Zarks, but these monsters are just so ridiculous, and this isn't even the top dog of the deck. The highest attack anime-exclusive monster that we saw not only in Zexal, but that we have ever seen in Yu-Gi-Oh! History is Chaos Imaginary Number 1000 Numeronia, which holds 100,000 attack points. So you just got over Numeronia, which is the monster we just discussed. Good job. Now you get to deal with this thing, which gets summoned as soon as Numeronia is destroyed. This card cannot be destroyed by card effects or declare an attack. Your opponent must target this card for attacks. If they do not, during the end phase of that turn, they lose the duel. You can detach 1 Xyz material from this card, negate the attack of one opponent's monster, and if you do, gain life points equal to that monster's attack. This monster should have an auto-win condition, just like the first Numeronia monster, because there is no way you can defeat this. I know the guys from Zexal pulled it off, but unfortunately, real life does not contain anime luck. I would love, though, if these cards did get printed, to see if someone was able to pull out a win in YGO Pro or in real life going up against these cards. I don't need to explain that this monster's effect makes it one of the strongest, if not the strongest, most overpowered monster in the history of Yu-Gi-Oh! And with 100,000 attack points, it takes gold on this list for the strongest anime-exclusive monster in all of Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal. And that about wraps it up. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. If I missed any, because again, it's difficult to comb through so many episodes, please let me know down below in the comments, and let me know if you would like to see any of these cards printed, and let me know which cards you think have the best effect. Honestly, I don't know if Don 1000's monsters have the best effect, or if it's that Chaos End Ruler card that has the best effect. I mean, those three, the 1 and 2 and then Chaos End Ruler, those three effects, at least to me, are absolutely disgusting. But you guys let me know which cards you would love to see printed, which cards you think we might see printed, and which cards you think might actually affect the meta, if any, or if they would be just top tier cards, because I really do love hearing that aspect from you guys. Thank you again so much for watching. A special thank you to my Platinum tier patrons Alexa Baker, Glen McGookin, Jorge Carrillo, James Rose, and Omni Lord, and to my Diamond tier patrons bouldergeist, Odd Eyes Vaughn, and Jesse Wood, and to my Egyptian God tier patron Syn Cloud. Thank you to everyone who supports me on Patreon. Cannot tell you how much it helps me out and how much I appreciate it. And thank you to everyone who just watches these videos. I did a list like this for Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, so you can check that out. It'll be in the description. I do plan to do a list like this for all of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Animes. So again, I will talk to you down below. Thank you again so much for watching. Check out my channel for more Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime content, and I hope you guys have an amazing day.